afternoon, viewers. Welcome to News in Brief today, where we give you a rundown of what is in our local press today. My name is Yeko Madziwa, and with me here is...
And my name is Stuart Namburo. I would like to welcome you to this News in Brief session, where we are going to be giving you a headline news from today's dailies. You can watch us live on YouTube at TechMake TV on YouTube, and you can also tune into TechMake TV on Facebook for you to be able to watch us live as we're broadcasting live at the moment.
So, okay, I think we can just quickly get down into what our local press has today, and we are going to start with the Herald. So, according to the Herald, the first story making the headlines is MSU to get Mbanje license. I think this is quite interesting. It's an interesting story. So, according to the Herald, that is, Midland State University has applied for a license to grow mbanje for medicinal purposes following government's legislation of marijuana farming last year. Addressing students at MSU during a public lecture in Gweru, Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology Development Minister Professor Amon Murwira said government was in the process of licensing the university to grow mbanje for medicinal purposes. According to Professor Murwira, he said, "We were told by our former colonial masters that mbanje is illegal, and they even promulgated a law prohibiting the smoking of mbanje. However, it has medicinal properties. So our leadership had a closer look and realized that mbanje can be useful, and then legalized the growing of mbanje for medicinal purposes. So we have started doing so. MSU itself has applied for a license of growing mbanje," he said. So this is according to Professor Murwira. I can see you smiling right now. I think you have something to say. What do you think? What do you think legalizing, the growing of mbanje at Midland State University?
Legalizing mbanje has been very topical. It's been a topical issue all over the world. Some countries have already ratified or put in place laws that govern how mbanje is grown and how it is distributed. They are sugarcoating it by saying it's for medicinal purposes, but we all know what mbanje does, and the selling and growing of mbanje has been going on for a long time. And it has become a billion-dollar industry. So, for the good of the economy, since it is being grown on medicinal grounds, I think it's a welcome move. And seeing such an institution of higher learning like MSU taking the charge in as far as growing mbanje, it's a welcome move, and we hope that it will be used solely for medicinal purposes and not in other business.
Okay, thank you very much, Stuart. Those were your thoughts, and I'm sure Professor Murwira would like to argue with you to say, you know what, we can actually use marijuana for medicinal purposes. So, what else does the Herald have for us today?
The Herald is saying civil servants smile all the way to the bank. Such a catchy headline. I hope they will be smiling all the way to the bank. The Herald says it was a case of smiling all the way to the bank for civil servants yesterday, as the government honored the pledge to increase their salaries by 29% beginning this month. The civil servants, however, urged the government to act on the businesses that are wantonly increasing prices. Nurses, prison officers, members of the Zimbabwe National Army, Zimbabwe Republic Police officers, and those from the Air Force of Zimbabwe started accessing their salaries yesterday with an increment of up to the civil servants. They are waking up early in the morning, going to work. This is a slap in the face. You can't give them $129 as increment. Look at how the prices are increasing. Over the years we've seen that every time there's a salary increase on the civil servants side, there's a general rise of prices and goods. So to me, it's a slap in the face. The government needs to do more. What do you think?
Well, actually, today, as of today, bread is actually costing $3.50, which is a major concern, you know. But actually, going back, there used to be, I think, a few weeks back, there was an article in the Herald which said that civil servant, the least paid, was going to walk away home with $600. So I don't know now where this is so specific. It says an increment, every civil servant is going to get a $129 increment. So
and that I think that we have to look at is that these salaries, they are being eroded away by inflation. I was reading an article today that says that our inflation is risen to more than 60%, right? So which means this salary increment in real terms, it means nothing because it has already been eroded away, and the people cannot even access that money from the bank. They will have to use digital platforms or digital or virtual currency, which for some is going to be very costly, given that there are also charges that are attached to it. People need to have real money that is useful, that they can use to buy whatever they want. And to me, I personally think the government still needs to do more as far as the prices of goods are concerned. But at the same time, they also have to put a raft of measures that deal with those errant businesses that are wantonly increasing prices.
Okay, so moving on to the news. Whilst still on the Herald, there's another headline. It says driving tests computerized. So this is a story that we find in our local papers, Newsday as well as the Daily News. So I think we'll get into it in detail as we go through the papers. Okay,
yes.
So according to the Newsday, the lead story, it says Monzora cries foul. Embattled MDC Secretary General Douglas Monzora wrote to Japhet Moyo, the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe Congress of Trade Unions (CTU), who is superintending over the opposition party's internal elections, alleging serious flaws in the process 2 days before he threw in the towel after he garnered a single nomination from the 7 provincial congresses held so far. At the weekend, Monzora pleaded with his home province of Manicaland to back him for the post of Secretary General, but delegates snubbed him, leaving him to weigh his options ahead of the Watershed MDC Congress to be held next month. In a Friday letter, which was copied to the party's party leader Nelson Chamisa, Monzora alleged that while ZCTU was supposed to be leading the elective process, the party's organizing secretary Amos Chibaya was in fact running the show. According to Monzora, he says, we wish to raise the following issues: that the Matabeleland South Congress was conducted at night. In fact, the nomination process for National Standing Committee members commenced at 23:30 hours on the 7th of April 2019. The letter read, the letter that Monzora wrote to Japhet Moyo, who is the Secretary General of the ZCTU. Of course, he's claiming that the whole process, this was 2 days before he then announced that he was no longer running to contest Nelson Chamisa for the presidency of the NDC. Now, I'm looking for the nicest ways to say this.
Yeah, say it in a nice way.
You know, I have to think first because people will just come guns blazing at me. Okay, I'm confused. This was 2 days before he wrote this letter, claiming that the whole process was done unconstitutionally. Yes. You know, people were meant to vote at night and things like that. The Chronicle even goes on to say, you know, Monzora is claiming that the whole process was rigged. You know, so I don't know. I don't know. Can we say, so he realizes that it was unconstitutional and then 2 days after throws in the towel?
Before I comment, I have to look at the Daily News, which is a screaming headline that reads, Monzora in dilemma after Manicaland rejects on son. It says, MDC Secretary General Douglas Monzora says he will decide in the next few days if there is still any merit in fighting to retain his current position at the party's congress scheduled for May 24 to 26, the Daily News can report. Monzora blew a shocker over the weekend when he informed party supporters in Mutare about his decision to pull out of the presidential race to focus on retaining the Secretary General's position. He claimed to have struck an agreement with party leader Nelson Chamisa, whom he had hoped to challenge for the position of president. Now, back to my comment. There is so much confusion with this MDC elective congress that is slated for May. There's so much confusion. The MDC is the largest opposition party in Zimbabwe, has failed to give its people, or the people of Zimbabwe, or the people who voted for them in the previous election, a rundown of what their constitution says with regards to the elections. Because we've seen that there were some people who moved out of, or who decided to form their own parties and left the MDC. In this election, those people are back. They just walked back into the fray without any disciplinary action being taken. So for me, I feel what Monzora is doing is he's just trying to sideline himself from the chaos, and he knows that Secretary General position for him is a given. He has done a good job in as far as that is concerned. For me, I think he has done a good job, and sticking to it, it's a good thing. But according to the Daily News, he's saying that he consulted Nelson Chamisa. Why would he consult Nelson Chamisa? Nelson Chamisa, as far as the situation on the ground is concerned, is an incumbent. He cannot consult an incumbent. Nelson Chamisa must be voted into power first, then people can consult him. As far as the situation on the ground is concerned, Nelson Chamisa has no mandate to dictate anything as far as the election is concerned. Whatever that is happening as far as the election is concerned, he has to be dictated for by the MDC constitution, which they failed to give us or make known to public what it says.
Also, the party itself has to justify why these elections were also conducted at night, because I believe that if it was something that was supposed to be done, openly, everyone without raising any question, because now he's pulling out, which is not very, very democratic. If someone is pulling out,
you can get in touch with us on our various platforms that we are broadcasting live. We have Facebook, we have Twitter.
Listened to the people. Monzora listened to the people. Don't try to name Chamisa a dictator. It was going to be embarrassing for Monzora to have 0 votes from 12 provinces as presidential nominee. So I think what Calvin is basically saying is that he pulled out because he realized in time that he had no supporters that would rally behind him. But according to Monzora, in this article, I think it's the Newsday, she's saying that there was a lot of violence, people were being harassed for backing, him towards this nomination. So I don't know. I think someone does know the truth at the end of the day.
Yes, that's true.
Yes.
Yeah, moving to also on the Daily News, we have a leading headline that says Chief Ndiweni fights eviction of white farmers. The surprise eviction of popular Tabas Induna farmers Brian and Carol Davis, who operate Tabas Induna farm, has attracted the wrath of local chief Nhlanhla Ndiweni. The couple was served with an eviction notice by one Floyd Ambrose on Tuesday last week, according to Tabas Induna spokesperson Buzz Davis. We lodged an appeal late Friday afternoon, so we hope in case the eviction does not happen, said Buzz, who, however, could not be drawn into revealing more details on the matter. So the chief is saying these people, the Davis family, should not have been evicted from the farm. We are not privy to details of what prompted Mr. Floyd Ambrose to evict or to serve the Davis with the eviction notice. But from what Chief Ndiweni is saying that these guys, the Davis family, they've been on the farm for quite a long time now, since 1953, and they've contributed a lot to the area. And at one time, their farm was the largest pig production farm in that district, and they also have a large herd of cattle that have been serving the province or that certain area. So the chief is justified in saying that you can't evict such a productive family from a farm they've owned since 1953. What prompted Mr. Ambrose, we all don't know.
Of course, whilst still on that tip of white farmers, so ED faces internal revolt over land. This is according to the news today, and it says here President Emerson Mnangagwa faces an internal revolt from ZANU-PF youths who are angry over his recent announcement that his government will follow constitutional provisions and compensate white former commercial farmers who lost their farms during the chaotic land reform program. Vocal ZANU-PF Youth League political commissar Godfrey Tsenengamu, fired from the party by ousted leader Robert Mugabe before bouncing back, has steered the hornet's nest by charging that government should not compensate the farmers because they developed infrastructure on stolen land. So according to Godfrey, he says compensation for land developments or infrastructure development is not a priority for Zimbabwe. The constitution demands compensation for the above, and what we are proposing is an amendment to that clause, as the clause is an insult to our fallen heroes who paid for this land through their blood, sweat and tears. Tsenengamu told the Newsday yesterday. So, okay, so people are very, very angry, evidently by what Godfrey is saying. He's very angry, and the Newsday is saying that ED faces internal revolt over compensation of white farmers.
I'm a happy man simply because that we're now practicing what is called politics. Right. What the ZANU-PF Youth League, although their demands are not on point and they are speculative, the fact that they are challenging what the president has said is the way that we want. If the president says something, not all the people must jump and say, yes, boss. The president must be questioned, and the president must also be challenged. He's a human being. He makes mistakes. What the ZANU-PF Youth League is doing is what we've always wanted since the time of the former President Robert Mugabe, where some of these decisions have to be questioned from within the party, so that we can, us, the people who are outside the party, can really know what's going on and can really know the merits and the demerits of everything that the party is giving to the people. So the comments, although they are speculative, and Tsenengamu is very vocal about it, but at the same time, as far as this issue is concerned, I think we all have to respect what the Constitution is saying. What does the Supreme Law of the land say as far as the compensation of the white farmers is concerned? Is the president sticking to the Constitution, or is the president just making decisions out of his head? Because he cannot just make a decision without consulting the Politburo, the Central Committee, and I think the president is on point in as far as trying to raise the question of compensation of white farmers. Although it's a very emotive issue, it's very controversial to some people who say that the whites, they do not own the land. But as far as the law is concerned, or in law terms, the whites own the land. As long as you have papers that say you own the land, it's yours.
Moving on a said note, maybe if I can just have a quick rundown of the comments, yeah?
You can go to the comments.
Robert here says, African democracy is a joke. How can you have 22 presidential candidates, knowing some of them don't even have a chance of winning? Is that what you call democracy? And then Calvin responds and says, that is not democracy. It was ZANU-PF. These were ZANU-PF projects to cause confusion. ZANU agencies to disturb the real opposition. So thank you so much, you guys, for the discussions right there. I think we're gonna, when we finish, when we're about to do a rundown, we're just gonna have a comment on everything, on what you guys are saying, and so that we can just move on. On a said note, the Newsday says 14 perish at an apostolic sect shrine. 14 members of the Mugodi apostolic sect died, while several others were injured after a lorry loaded with bags of maize veered off the road and plowed into worshippers at roadside shrine in Wedza yesterday morning. 6 people died on the spot, 5 others were pronounced dead on arrival at St. Mary's Mission Hospital, while 3 died after admission. This is indeed a sad story.
It's a very sad story, getting run over by a car or by that lorry when you're very close to God, you're praying. May the dear Lord console the families of those who perished in that unfortunate incident.
Indeed.
Moving over to that issue that we had set aside, the provisional driver's license to be obtained online, says the Daily News. It reads, the Transport and Infrastructure Development Ministry yesterday launched the electronic learner's license testing system in a bid to curb corruption and reduce fraud during attainment of provisional driver's licenses. The system enables aspiring drivers to write provisional driver's license tests electronically and reduce interface with officials. Speaking during the launch, Transport Minister Bheki Matiza said the overall objective is to create a robust electronic integrated transport management system to support the country's vision to become a middle-class economy by 2030. The system is aimed at fostering efficiency, eliminating corruption and enhancing government's capacity to plug revenue leakages in the entire road transport sector. I'd like to clap hands for what the Ministry of Infrastructure, the Ministry of Transport has done. Driver's licenses, for some, there are some people who are watching right now, they know how they got their driver's license. Some they paid what is termed the token of appreciation. Some they got their provisional driver's license while sitting at home because they know someone at VID. So that is going to be a thing of the past. My hope and belief is that this system is going to be constantly updated and is going to be very efficient in trying to leak those to close those reverence leakages, like what the minister has said. So for me, this is a welcome move. Let's all support what the government has done. They've done a good job, and let's give them thumbs for that.
That's true. I mean, it's gonna make some people actually failed, because you didn't have a token of appreciation.
Yes.
So you end up, not that you don't know you're a bad driver, it's just that you don't know a guy who knows a guy, so you're gonna fail. So yeah, so I think the system actually works, and it's not only for now. We have a habit of launching things and then just leaving them as they are, and nothing ever comes out of them.
Yes.
So I really did hope that it's going to go a long way as far as curbing corruption around the VID area.
Yeah, that is a hotspot of corruption. I remember Deputy Minister of Transport and Infrastructure, the most, I think for me, the most hardworking minister to date since the new government came into existence, Fortune Chassis. He was saying a lot of positive things with regards to how things are run at VID. So I'd like to believe that this system will be supported by all government systems, looking at the law enforcement agents who are also part of the people who superintend what happens on the roads, and also the VID itself. They have people who are also on the roads, especially during this time of the Easter holiday. They must support the system for it to be a success.
Of course. So the last story in the news day today, it says Zim not reforming fast. Of course, this is according to the World Bank. So the World Bank says Zimbabwe is not reforming fast enough to improve its ease of doing business. Authorities in the Southern African nation, together with the World Bank, are working on a reform agenda which seeks to improve transparency, efficiency, and regulation. According to the latest World Bank annual ratings, Zimbabwe was ranked 155 among 190 countries in the ease of doing business. The ranking was an improvement from 2017 position of 159. It's not an improvement. It was by 159 and now it's 155. Really? It's like we're not even moving.
It's not moving.
We're not moving. Yeah, it's not even significant enough to say Zimbabwe is moving fast towards improving ease of business in the country. So that's for me and the news day.
Okay, still on that note, on the Zimbabwe economy, the Daily News has a story that reads: Zim inflation hits 66.8%. Zimbabwe's annual inflation hit 66.8% in March this year, up from 59.39% in February due to rampant increases in prices of goods. According to the latest Zim state figures, year-on-year food and non-alcoholic beverages inflation prone to transitory shocks stood at 78.55%, while the non-food inflation rate was 61.19%. The month-on-month inflation rate in March 2019 was 4.38%, gaining 2.71 percentage points on the February 2019 rate of 1.67%, the National Statistical Agency said on Monday. The good thing that I like about this is Zim State said this. We are not hearing this from some economic professor or some economic analyst. Zimbabwe Statistics Authority has said this. So what is in store for us as we go ahead? Our inflation is increasing from 59.3% from 59.39%. Now it's on 66.8. Things are really going out of control.
Indeed, I also agree to Calvin here. He's saying, the economy is in a catastrophic manner and needs resurrection as soon as possible. But unfortunately, our reforms are not moving as fast as they are supposed to move, and it's sad. It's indeed sad.
Aimed at kick-starting the ailing economy, economists have said. This comes after the IMF announced the Zimbabwe staff-monitored program, which will devise ways to increase government revenue and help its budgeting process. It will also facilitate a return to macroeconomic stability. NKC African Economics NKCs said economic revival and investment is urgently needed to generate hard currency and help ease severe forex strategies and stem rising prices in the country. We've heard this song before. The IMF's staff-monitored program. It was in place, I think, a few years back, and we never got to hear the results of that staff-monitored program. What it basically entailed is that the government had to check itself, cutting down on government bureaucracies, where the government to arrive at profitability, so that IMF can come and help them. There's a lot of bureaucracies that are happening within the government. There are a lot of government vehicles that are just lying idle, and yet government is on record buying a lot of cars. So according to IMF, those things have to be stopped. The government has to check its inventory and then devise ways to bring everything to normal. I think I've said enough.
Is that all you have from the Daily News?
From the Daily News, I also have a story on Mai Patai. It's saying that she was shocked by receiving the NAMA award.
Of course, we did speak about this.
She was shocked. She was shocked. She didn't know that Zimbabweans love her so much. The story reads: Gweru-based gospel sensation Respina Patai, aka Mai Patai, says the controversial NAMA award gong came as a big surprise to her. She told the Daily News yesterday that she was equally shocked. It came as a huge surprise to me. I never thought my fans would vote to such an extent. I am still in shock, she said. Mai Patai mobilized votes through the social media platforms. I used social media to mobilize votes. Some people are saying I have used my church, the FM in Zimbabwe, to vote for me. I did not use that strategy, as I wanted to separate music business from church business. However, I am now certain that my fans voted for me. They're different from slay queens who make a lot of noise on social media but they don't vote. Artists have been given time to mobilize votes, and the ultimate winner is Mai Patai. That will never change. Wow, what a very bold statement from here. She also attacked slay queens. I hope they are not mounting a very vicious attack. If ever she's on Twitter or she's on Facebook, I'm hoping that they won't go after her. Slay queens.
Do you think slay queens will go after Mai Patai?
They'll go after you. They are slay queens and slay
They
queens.
don't want
They're slay queens and slay
They don't
queens.
even know. They don't. Alright. Not that I'm saying I'm gonna say this. I don't think they're gonna go after her, because I just think that they're not going to do that. You know what I mean? But however, there has been a lot of speculation, like how and what was my Patai's last song and things like that. People were so worried. You know, they're thinking, imagine his Winky D would take, the award. Winky D has done well so far, and things like that. So I think her response was very much needed. However, I don't know why she had to attack Slay Queen.
Okay, I think we spoke about it in our previous show about the whole controversy surrounding Nama. I think they have to be very, very, very clear and explicit in as far as how they select their winners is concerned. It's been a bone of contention over the years. Nama has been on the scene for a long time, and I think they should have learned from their mistakes in the past. And in this digital era, they should just devise ways that make the people part of this ceremony. It's like the people are it has detached itself from the people. It needs to constantly connect with the people, so that the people, they feel that we chose my Patai as the winner. The people, they have that level of or that sense of contentment with them, that no, my Patai is the winner, we chose her. But right now they are facing a lot of controversial issues because they are not in touch with the people. For me, I just received a text via my phone that said vote through Namajiji. For me, it's not enough. They need to be out there. If it means going, holding road shows, going through all social media platforms, the radio stations, marketing their thing, I think it will make the people part of this whole award ceremony.
Is there anything else?
You talked something about Winky D. Winky D is quiet. He's very quiet on the issue. I know he has said some stuff in previous editions, but on this issue he's very quiet, and he's just promised fireworks at his Pato ranking show. That's all he said.
Okay, so thank you so much. Can I close? I think I'm gonna.
How can you close without sport? Come on.
Right.
How can you close without sport?
Alright.
You can't close without sport. Champs drops points. Mshoan pin back FC Platinum. I think this was a good match that was played yesterday, where Mshowani, the new boys on the block, they managed to match FC Platinum pound for pound. It was a very exciting match, and it led to FC Platinum dropping points. Then the Daily News is spotlight on Dimbare. Spotlight on Dimbare. When I saw that headline, I asked myself, why the spotlight is on Dimbare? We are three matches into the season. Yes, Dimbare is is the most decorated team in terms of achievements in the local football scene. Why is the media, or why are they creating this spotlight on Dimbare thing? Dimbare lost a number of players last season, and they have a virtually new team that they are building. So they shouldn't be under pressure. They shouldn't be pressured by the media or by anyone else to perform to a certain level. Yes, Dimbare is a big institution that is based on the results, and the fans, they want results, but I think they should give these boys time to gel. The future is bright for these boys. I've seen them playing. They need more time. So the media must not speculate or blow things out of proportion or put pressure on Mablanyo. Mablanyo has a plan that he hopes will work for Dimbare. Let's give him a chance. It's 3 games into the season. There are 30 something more games to play. Let's give Dimbare a chance. Leave Dimbare alone. I'm not a Dimbare fan, but let's leave Dimbare alone.
Well, we do have a habit of exaggerating.
Yes.
We have a flair for the dramatic, if I should say so myself, as journalists. So, like you heard from our sports anchor, I'm gonna start calling you a sports anchor.
Yeah, I love sports.
Because you're like so into sports, and I just wish I was, I could just analyze situations like that. Anyway, I can finally close now. Thank you so much, Stuart, for aka sports anchor, for that analysis on sports. So anyway, from me, Nicole Madziwa, and the crew behind the scenes that did a remarkable job in bringing all of this together. And those guys that commented, and you did an amazing job. You guys, you should always comment so that we engage. It's so interesting when we have like various perceptions, on this or on everything that will be in our local press.
From Mr. Number, it's been a pleasure being with you guys. Please keep commenting. We're doing something so that we become more interactive. In future, we're going to be interacting with you through via a live studio calls or WhatsApp calls or Skype, wherever you are. We understand that most of our viewers, they are not from Zimbabwe and they can get us online. So for me, it's a good afternoon.